Hello and welcome to episode 41 of Avonlea Chronicles, a knitting podcast. My name is Martha and I'm here to talk about all things knitting and crafting. It is Friday morning and I'm recording this on a Friday. Normally I record it on a Sunday because I'm already all dressed up from church, but I thought that since I have the opportunity to film while nobody else is home and there's no potential interruptions, I thought that would be better. So that is what I'm doing. I have lots of updates for you. I finished some books, I've started some new ones, I've watched some things. So I finished the Resistance Knitting Club. It was really good. It did not go how I expected it, but there was not as much knitting in it as I expected. I thought there would be a lot more knitting in code, how people received knitting in code and how they read it, but there wasn't any of that. It's split into 4 parts and only the very first chapter and like the very last 1 or 2 chapters are in like the present day. The rest of it is in like the past. But really only part 1 was about knitting and in code, and they established the main character, and the main character picks up learning code very well, working for the resistance and the war office, and then they translated that into their knitting, and then they started teaching people how to knit in code, and then that kind of like falls by the wayside. They keep the main character keeps their knitting with them the whole time, but that was kind of, and they knit throughout the book. They always have their knitting with them, but there wasn't anything more, and that was lacking for me. The author has, I don't have the book with me anymore because I've given it to my mom to read, and it'll probably go through the book club. And I don't do this book, like lead book club for this book until March of 2027. So I have a little under a year to like prepare. But the author has a Facebook group called the Resistance Knitting Club. And so she shares some of her projects that she's working on. People can ask questions and make comments about the book. So there were some comments, people that were like, I wanted more knitting. I wanted like, how did people receive knitting with code? How did they read it? Like they wanted more. And I thought that I would knit a swatch. There's like one mention of a knit swatch in code in the book. And so I was looking and looking and looking. I might not have been putting the right things into the Google search bar, but I had found a picture of some knitting in code. It's just a swatch with the border is garter stitch and the inside is stockinette. But then like every like, I don't know, looks like every 5 or 6 rows of stockinette, there's 1 row of garter to like break it up. And this one just happens to, it looks like the exact same on every row. And it was just one that I found online as an example. And then I could not for the life of me wrap my head around how I was going to knit in code. And I think I was overthinking it, like thinking, okay, if you're knitting in a sweater and you're knitting in the round and it's top down, then you would be knitting as if you were reading it, because you're going top down from left to right for the most part on a top down sweater. But then I'm like, if you're doing like top down socks, same thing. But if you're doing like bottom up socks or bottom up sweater, or you're knitting flat, like I could not figure it out for the life of me. So the author then decided to pick, and I was putting it in the group, like, how do I do this? So the author decided to knit a swatch using the code that she put in the book. So then she put it into a Morse code translator, and then she put the arrows for me to be like, that's how you knit. So it's like when you're looking at a chart, you read a chart, and this will probably be backwards for you, but you read a chart right to left, bottom to top. So you're always knitting your chart like backwards. So then it clicked for me and it made sense. So then I knit my little swatch, and I used, like, on the one page where there's dialogue, they have said, so a knit is they were like, so a K is for a knit stitch, a P is for a purl, and a dash is a knit stitch, and a dot is a purl in Morse code. So then I used their knits and purls because I read that easier from the dialogue in the book. And I counted out like how many stitches I would need on either side to center all the words. And so this is a 30 stitch swatch, and I used size 8 needles with about a DK weight yarn. So I knit my little swatch in Morse code, and the phrase says idle hands are the devil's workshop. So yeah, so I knit that up finally. Like, I think I was just overthinking it. So now I have this, and I'm gonna have like those pages. I'm gonna put them in a bag to keep with the book when I eventually get it back. And then I'll take this to book clubs so that people can have an idea of like what it would look like, which is totally inconspicuous. Like, you would not know that there's a message in there. So I got that done. All in all, like, great book. I just wanted more knitting. Then I finished Death and Other Inconveniences by Leslie Crew. It was funny. I thought it was the book. My introduction to Leslie Crew was with The Spoon Stealer, and it was more serious and heavy, and I could only read like 1 or 2 chapters at a time. This one I did like 5 chapters, the first 5 chapters in one sitting. It's only 25 chapters and 269 pages. It's a quick read. I wasn't sure what it was going to be like. I wasn't sure if the other inconveniences were going to be like all the paperwork and legal stuff, closing accounts that you have to do when someone dies, or well, like, I just didn't really know. But it actually was about all the other stuff in life that's like inconveniences, like family stuff, where you're gonna live, what you're gonna do. But it was really good, and it was really funny at times. So I would highly recommend this if you want a light summer read. It's really good. And then I'm listening to The Homemade God, and I have no idea who the author is. I'm listening to it on Libby. That's for book club book. And it's pretty good. Not one that I would have just like picked up on my own. It's a really good story. And then I started The Road to Goderich. That's what the cover looks like on my Kobo. The other week, I have to say, I love this. The other week, I went to put a book on my Kobo wish list. So sometimes I do it right on my device, and sometimes I do it on my laptop. So I was on my laptop, and I was like, oh yeah, I want to put this book on my wish list. So I went into my account, put the book on my wish list, and then I looked at my wish list, and 3 or 4 of the books that were on my wish list, this is one of them, was like $1.99, $2.99. So I got 3 or 4 of my books that I had wanted for under $10, which was really nice. I tend to put books on my wish list that aren't like immediate needs, but they're like something I want to read. And then I just check my wish list every so often, and they usually go on sale, and I get them. I'm 1 chapter in, and so far it's really good. I want to know what happens. I've been surprised. A lot of books that I've been reading, it's just like jump in with 2 feet. It's got like a good hook that first few chapters, and you want to know what happens, so you keep reading. The other book that I want to read, which I was a toss-up yesterday when I was deciding what I was going to start next, was John of John. Also one that I just got for like $1.99. The Grocery Girls were talking about it a couple podcasts ago, so I put it on my wish list, and it's a little bit longer than Road to Goderich, so I thought I would speed through Road to Goderich and then I'll read John of John. But so far, it's really good. I'll have to let you know what I think in a couple weeks when I'm done. But that's what I'm reading. I don't have any other, I have like 11 holds on Libby for book club books and just other books that I want to read, but none of them are available yet. So today or tomorrow when I finish The Homemade God, I won't have anything else to listen to. But I have no shortage of books. As you can see, I've got books here. I've got like 2 bookshelves full of books. So there's lots of reading material. And then I have been watching Little House on the Prairie. I finished. I think it holds its own. I was talking to a friend who was really reluctant to watch it. They love the books. They're a fan of Michael Landon's version. And I was like, the new one holds its own. It's quite different. And so they started and their kids got into it. So they sent me a message. They're like, it's actually growing on me and it's something we can watch as a family. And I said, yes, like it's really hard to find like realistic stuff that you can watch that's family friendly, that's not cartoons. But I really liked it. I would watch it again, and maybe in French if they had it as an exercise for my French learning. And what else did I watch? I watched Enola Holmes. I'm not really an action mystery type movie, but I've watched the first 2, so I figured I'd watch the 3rd one. And then I'm kind of itching to watch No Pressure and It Takes a Village, which are the Polish village video movies about Polish woman in a rural village. And they're just funny and light, and it's like a comedy. There's a bit of romance in it. I'm kind of wanting to watch those again. So I think I'm going to do that this weekend. Maybe it's supposed to rain a bit. And I don't really think there was anything else that I've been watching, like a few documentaries. But other than that, I haven't been watching much. I've been getting up, ready for my day, and then reading for a bit before I start into like other stuff. So that is that. I got my order from Michael's. So I had to put in an order to Michael's because I thought about driving. My nearest Michael's is like 45 minutes down the highway in another town. There's construction. It is summer season, so like Friday and Monday, like don't ever leave town because that's when everybody comes up on Friday and they leave like Sunday or Monday, so the highway is always packed. And I thought about it, and there was one thing that I wanted that Michael's didn't have, but the next like city over had it. And then I just thought, you know what, for $15 of shipping, or like $13.99 for shipping, it is probably less than the price of gas to just order it. So I ordered it and it arrived. So I got some projects finished and others not quite. I ordered some embroidery floss so I could like deck out my headphones. I have not done that yet, but I got 7 fun colors. The one thing I wanted that ours did not have was this charm, and I could not resist. It is a nesting doll charm, but it opens up and there's a baby one inside, and it even is like painted on the front. And I just thought that was so cute. My little Ukrainian heart was so happy. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. It's a little bit heavy to be a stitch marker. So at the moment, I'm just keeping it in my little container of charms. So that was one thing that I just could not resist. Had to pick that up. And then I grabbed my embroidery floss and I got a thing of seed beads. They're just like multicolored. They're glass ones and they're multicolored. They're like clear seed beads, but the hole has like coloring on them. So it's not like a solid colored bead, but I really like that. And then I wanted some small charms. I was seeing like really small charms, almost like the size of like the cutout for the star and the heart and the square. So like even smaller, but this was like the smallest size that I could get. So I just grabbed these. Again, it's just for like the fun of wrapping my headphones. So that was what I got. Oh, and one other thing. So I had made, the last time I showed off my dragonflies, and then I made and found a crocheted butterfly. This is like a pattern for a butterfly magnet. So I made it, but I didn't put a magnet on it, and you're supposed to put pipe cleaner like around the edge. I couldn't find pipe cleaner for the life of me unless it was in a craft set from the dollar store. So I just decided to go no pipe cleaner, but it's fine. And then I just dropped one. I found a little pattern for crochet hearts. So I like went through my scraps, and then I grabbed a 6-inch wreath frame, and I got my twine out, and I decided to put them on twine and make like a little mobile and hang them. Now, I don't know if I'm gonna hang them in my place, but I just thought it was something cute and fun to do with these little things that I crocheted. Now, this is, obviously I have a bunch here. I only bought one wreath. I thought that maybe, because I didn't really know the size and comprehend it in my head, 1 dragonfly, 1 butterfly, and 4 flowers are what I think fits comfortably on a 6-inch wreath. So I need to get another 6-inch wreath at some point. And I know we're like going down Michael's way in a couple of weeks, so I'm not bothering to order another wreath. I'll just like stop by sometime. But I think it turned out so cute, so I'm going to make a second one with the extras that I have. But it was just like a cute, fun project. So that was what I made with those. And they're such good scrap busting projects. So that was really good. And I wanted to clean up my knitting space. So yesterday I went and got another one of these containers from the dollar store, $1.50, and I'm just putting my needle stoppers. I've got some sewing clips and then other stitch markers in it. And like this one, I have another one of these full of stitch markers in my knitting bag, but this one I'm just gonna keep at home. I just needed them not in little plastic Ziploc bags and like all over the place, and I needed them a little more organized. So that is what I have done with that. And now we can get into some other projects that I have finished. I received a zipper pull from a student who thought that I could make something with it. It was so sweet. And I was like eating my lunch the one day, standing at the counter, I'm eating lunch, making tea. And he comes over to me and he's like, "Miss Wood, I thought you could use this for something." And his teacher is watching me, like we're friends. So I was like, oh, thank you, thank you. And she's like looking at me going like, take it, take it. Like, and I'm like, yes, thank you, thank you. Like, and I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to do with a little zipper pull? And afterwards she was like, that's so sweet. Like, he thought you could make something with it. And I was like, yes, I'm going to find something. The only thing I could think of to do was to put it in the center of something that I knit or crochet as part of like a decoration. So, and I was just picturing a flower. So I pulled out some of my Pine and Pearl, very demure, very mindful, like rainbowy colorway, crocheted a flower, and then I sewed it to the center of the flower. And then I just braided some extra yarn to make like a little strap. And then I'm going to put this on my lunch bag so I can show it to him in the fall. And then it's just always there with me. And I'll always remember that moment when he gave me the broken zipper pull from his zipper on his jacket because he thought I could make something with it. It was just so sweet. So I finally got that done. I was thinking and trying to figure out to do something before the end of the school year, and I just didn't get to it. So I'll have to show him in September. The next thing is my Musselburgh hat. I finished. Here it is. This is Pine and Pearl's merino sock in fiddle leaf color. And it was like, this was a good knit. I really like the attention to detail with the decreases and the increases. It's very symmetrical. The only thing I have to say is that and I'm trying to look for it because it is noticeable. Wherever it is, I made a mistake on my decreases. Oh yes, it's here. I made some little mistake. Maybe I did like a knit two together instead of a slip knit. But anyway, I'm putting that on the inside. So now what you do with this is you put 1/2, like, because you've essentially knit a tube. So you put 1/2 inside the other, like this. And then you fold up the brim. And so now you have 2 layers here and 2 layers here. So you'll have 4 layers over your ears. And so now that this is finished, I can wrap it up because it's Christmas present and now it's done. My thoughts, it's a great pattern. When I went to look at the beginning, it's a gaugeless pattern. So you have to sort out what needle size you're going to use for your yarn. I was looking on the project pages on Ravelry, and when I looked the one day, there was like 48.9 thousand project pages. I could not find much about people's needle sizes using fingering weight yarn. So then I eventually just Googled it, and it said a 3.5 millimeter needle. So I grabbed that. I sat down one afternoon, I did the increases, put it on a 16-inch circular, and then I was just off to the races, and I was knitting and knitting and knitting for 19.25 inches from my start, 19.25 inches. Then I started the decreases. So on Saturday, I knit for 2.25 hours while I was on the phone with someone. And then I had a 3-hour and 20-minute movie in the evening. So I knit for that. And partway through the movie, I had my 19.25 inches. So I started my decreases. And I was worried I wasn't going to have enough yarn. I finished with like a foot of yarn left. So it really was a one skein project, even though when I looked at the chart for my yardage, it said I would need like 400 and something yards, but my skein of yarn was like 300 and something. So I was living on the edge a bit, but it really is, I think, a one skein project. And when I looked at it the other day, there was 50,000 project pages on Ravelry, which is incredible. So would I knit it again? I'm not a huge fan of just knitting without anything to like keep my mind a little more occupied. But if you need something where you're just going to be knitting and you don't want to have to focus too much on anything else, sit down for an afternoon when you're in a good mood, fiddle with your DPNs, get it started, do all the increases, get it on your needles to just knit in the round or in magic loop. And then when you need that time where you're just knitting and not focusing on anything else, you can just knit for however many inches. Mine was 19.25. And then you just need to spend a couple hours fiddling around with the decreases, and then you're done. So I really did enjoy it. I hope the person that gets it likes it. And all in all, it was a good pattern. I'm glad I knit it so I could see what all the hype was about. I'm still knitting my lakeside shawl in my Katya concept yarn. I'll tell you, I've been knitting and knitting on this. It's really not that big. I'm worried that it's going to be too big, but then I'm reminding myself that the rows are getting bigger, and so I am using more yarn. So really at the end of the day, it might not be, but I still have so much left. So like, and it's substantial what's in here. It looks deceiving because you're not touching it, but there's so much. So I'm just continuing to knit on that. I really would like to get it done, hopefully like this weekend. It feels weird that I'm recording this on a Friday when I usually do it on a Sunday. So I feel like I'm missing 2 days of knitting time because I'm recording early. But my plan is to like sit outside this afternoon, listen to my audiobook, and just work on this. Then I started something for myself. This is the Ripple camisole, and I'm using my Peggy May Yarns colorways, I think Rainbow Valley and Anne of Ingleside, I think. Don't quote me on that. I don't have the pattern with me to see the yarn labels. So originally I was going to stripe them, and then they've been sitting like this for a few days on my couch, and I saw a picture of the Ripple bralette where someone had like faded and marled a couple of colors, and I thought, oh, that looks really good, and I think I like that better. So I'm going to marl from this really speckled color into this like not so speckled color, because all of the colors, like the greens, the purples, the creams, the oranges are all in here. This one just has like more purples, like speckles of blue. It's a little more busy. So I think the marling and the fading is going to be great. And it's 3x3 ribbing. And I think I've sorted out that I need like about 10 inches in this before I marl to the other one. It's bottom up, and I really think like this was about 3 hours of work yesterday. And now that it's gotten, my problem yesterday was, as I was knitting this, it was like getting all twisted, and I thought, oh no, like have I twisted in the round when I joined the other night? But no, I did. So I kept like checking. No, I didn't. Part of it is like the needles are curling a little bit, or the cable is curling. But now that I have this much done, it's sitting when I knit. It's got enough length on it now that it's sitting, and I can just it's not twisting on me anymore. So that's what I'm working on. And actually, like, somebody had said the ribbing was tedious. I don't find it that tedious, but I'm not very far in. So I might have thoughts in a couple weeks. And then I got myself ready to knit the Blooming Breeze and the Evangeline blouse. So I was looking at my sizing yesterday took it to knitting group because I wanted some help sorting out my size, make sure I had the right size. With the ribbed camisole, it's 8 to 10 inches of negative ease, and I have a 47-inch bust, and so I went for the size 2XL because it would end up giving me 7 inches of negative ease. But like, you're working with negative ease, so you're never gonna have extra fabric. So that was the size I chose for that. So we were looking at like Blooming Breeze. I think we decided I'm going to do an XL. And really the size doesn't matter, but you just want to make sure you're knitting the right size when you're putting so much work into it. So yeah, we decided that because there's about 13 inches of positive ease. So we decided, because I have a 47-inch bust and the sizes go, XL is a 44 to 46 inch and 2XL is 48 to 50 inch bust, that we would go for the smaller size because it would give me less fabric. So we did that. So now I can go and circle the size XL and start on that. But when we got to looking at my size for the Evangeline blouse, now this person, I think it's her first design, and she's expecting. So she says maternity, nursing, postpartum life. That's kind of like the subtitle. And there's only the one picture on the front, and then there's a couple schematics, but like, it's beautiful. And that, like, I fell in love with like how beautiful it was, like the beautiful detailing on the neck. And then there's really nice like lace flowers that go across the top shoulder, around for the sleeve cap, and even down the side seam. That was what I loved about it, and it was just super simple. But there was not 13, maybe there was 13 or more inches of positive ease, and it was going to be like, I'm 47 around the chest, but it was like 59 and a half was what the finished measurements were going to be. We were like, oh my goodness, that is so much positive ease. There was going to be so much fabric. And we looked at some pictures on Ravelry of project pages from other people, and we were just like, no. And we looked, and it was like, we did some other measurements, and it was like, well, because we were all talking about it, it was like, well, you could use like this measurement from this size and this measurement from this size. And we got to like measuring my shoulders, and then it was just like, no. Why don't you take the elements that you like and try and put them into something else? So we decided that since the shape is similar to this one, that I'm going to knit the Blooming Breeze top first with what I have. It's like a blue with yellow speckles. I'm going to knit it first as it is. Then I'm going to take the neckline from this and the little lace. Now I haven't decided, like, I'll have to see how this one knits up and whether I can figure out how to add all of the lace, like at the shoulder seam and on the sleeve cap and down the side. I might just do the neckline and then the sleeve edging with the lace from the Evangeline blouse, but I'm going to like do my own mashup and take what I like from this one and put it into this one, because the shape is so similar, but this one has way less ease than this one. So that was what we decided, to have like the best of both worlds, because we were looking at some of the project pages, and while it's a beautiful garment, we were just like, it's too much. It's gonna be so much fabric. It's just not gonna be comfortable. So that's like on the back burner, not for a long time. I just want to finish my lakeside shawl. And now that I'm done my Musselburgh hat, which both of these are just like vanilla knits, like they're really just super simple, they're mindless, my Ripple camisole and my lakeside shawl. So now once I get them done, I can like focus on my other tops. So that was so it felt very productive after knitting group, because I got confirmation the size that I chose for the Ripple camisole was fine, and then we sorted out the size for the Blooming Breeze top, and then we decided the Evangeline camisole, or Evangeline blouse, as much as I love it, was not going to work size-wise for me. We were looking at the smallest size. The smallest size was 59.5 inches finished around the bust. So can you imagine if we had gone to the size that I was actually supposed to be? Was like wild. So we got that all sorted. And so I felt very productive, because knowing what size I want to do is great. And then I'm kind of itching to get started on my rose cardigan, which is just crocheting granny squares. I just haven't decided. It's not a sized pattern. You just get guidance on how to make your size based on like the measurements of your favorite cardigan that fits you. So I'm trying to figure out what cardigan do I own that I like the fit of, that I want to use the measurements for. And so that might be something I do this weekend, because once I like sort that out and get the size of my granny squares, I'm like off to the races. I could watch a show for an hour and work on some granny squares. So yeah, that's kind of like next on the list, but I was trying to finish some other little things first, and then my side quests of like doing this stuff is crazy. So that was that. And then I have one other thing to show. On the weekend, one of the local yarn dyers goes to a market down like the next town over at the wharf where the steamships are. And so I'd said to my brother's girlfriend, oh, like, have you heard about this market? Because she likes to go to markets. Do you want to go? Or I just said, like, do you know about this market? And she's like, yeah, I've heard of it. So after church, she messaged and she was like, do you want to go? And I was like, or are you going to go? And I said, yeah, I'm thinking about it. And she was like, well, I'm running around doing some errands, but I'll be done like in 20 minutes. So when I come back, like, we can go. So I said, sure. So we went down. It was more, it's not like a farmer's market. It was more crafty stuff. So like soap, there was like a honey person, one produce stand, yarn, crystals, signs, Parks Canada, a flower farm that had build your own bouquets. So there was like lots of stuff. And then we did a one loop around. And when we got to the end, we saw this lady who had these beautiful quilted bags. And I was like, oh, I really love this. I saw this bag and I was like, oh, I love this bag. So then we looked at her stuff, and then I saw another printed pattern that I really liked. And she was like, well, if I do it, like, we were like, oh, we really love the bags. And I've been looking for a new purse because my one leather purse is in the shop waiting to get a new strap. And the other one I was using was just pretty bulky. And so I've been looking for something smaller to carry around this summer since my other one is waiting to get fixed. So she was like, well, if you do it, I'll do it. So I was like, okay. She knew exactly what she was going to get. I did not. It was between two. And I said, well, which one do you think is more me? So she said, okay, I think this one. And there was options. There was yellow lining with yellow bows, green lining with green bows, or green lining with matching bows. So I went for this cute little bag with green lining and green bows. It's from Stitch and Story Studio. It's all quilted. She makes them all handmade. There's a little snap, and then there's a pocket on the inside. It fits my wallet perfectly. And then she also makes these little zippered pouches. And I had to check to make sure that my EpiPen fit in it. And I also keep a prayer square in all my purse, transfers to every purse. It was given to me in Halifax at some church event that I went to. But I got this to keep my inhaler and my EpiPen, and my wallet fits perfectly. And so we supported a little small business, and this is so cute and it's perfect strap length. I carried it around yesterday when I went for a walk. It fits over my shoulder nicely, but also just like on my arm or carrying it. So that was a cute little handmade purchase that I got that I just wanted to show off because I love showing off and supporting small businesses. So you can follow Stitch and Story on Instagram. She makes all of her own appliques too. So she made the applique that's on this little bag. So that was just a fun little purchase that I made last week because I'm certainly not getting any more yarn at the moment because I have so much. So that was everything. I now have to go, but I will be back in a couple of weeks with some more knitting and some progress on my projects.